Hi and welcome to this video on the top grant funders for community interest companies. So I'm going to run through a few of the easiest, quickest, small pots that you can apply for if you're a community interest company. We're going to be looking at the National Lottery and various grants that they have, the Arts Council, Children in Need and some others as well. So first of all, can I just say hit the subscribe button. So on my channel, I give top tips for CICs, grant funders and Arts Council funded projects. So hit the subscribe button if you want to stay alert for those. So let's jump straight in. First of all, let's look at the National Lottery. So the National Lottery run various different pots. You've got the Community Fund, which is a small pot up to £10,000. This, I'd say, is your first point of call for a CIC. Now with this pot, it takes around 8 weeks for the application to be assessed. It's a nice short form. It's nothing difficult. It's pretty straightforward. One tip I will have is that before you do the application, you properly plan your project. And I would say that they do ask for you to have consulted your community. So maybe some kind of steering group meetings, show that maybe you've done like an online poll or something along those lines. And actually make sure you write down how many people you've consulted in your community before you came up with the project idea. They don't want just one person coming up with an idea and rolling with it. They want community consultation. And the other thing I would say about awards for all, when you do get your application through, they will, maybe sometimes at the midway point, do a check, and sometimes after a project as well. So they will do a check, and they will check that you've spent your budget as you have stated on your application form and that you've run your project. And they also like to see that you have promoted and acknowledged that they gave you the funding. So when you're doing your project and you're posting online, just make sure you hashtag in or acknowledge that the lottery funded your project. Another tip I've got is make sure you photograph everything during your project, because it's so much easier at the end of the project to then evidence what you've done. It also gives you a really good record, makes you look good, and people are more likely to fund you again if they can see all the activity that you've been doing. So aside from the community fund, there's some other pots as well. So if you're running a sports project, you've got Sports England, again up to 10,000. You've also got the Heritage Lottery. This one can be a larger pot, and it depends on the size of your project. This is a difficult one to get, but you can definitely get it if you're running a good heritage project and you've got some kind of partner or local person to back you up. They often like a letter maybe from your local MP or maybe your local archive service or something along those lines. So you will need some kind of partner backup for the heritage, but I have got that before, and it is a really good, nice project fund to get. So aside from the National Lottery ones, you've also got other small pots. So you've got the best one if you're a creative artist or you're even running a CIC that just has some element of art with it, is the Arts Council England. There's also an Arts Council Scotland as well, and other countries have them. So with Arts Council England, I've got this year after year. It's a great pot, and they're a fantastic funder to work with. Now, I will say that the application form is massive. So it is a really, really long form, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. It really isn't. It's just lots and lots of boxes. I would just take it stage by stage and don't be overwhelmed by it. It's totally possible. You don't have to have a really good high education to be able to apply, and you can really write in fairly simple terms. You can just bullet point through the boxes. Just make sure that you hit their criteria. So with the Arts Council, it's now up to £30,000 for up to a 3-year project. I'd recommend that if you're a CIC just starting out and it's your first project, you run a 1-year project for £15,000. That's a reasonable amount for you to get started and show and prove to yourself and prove to the lottery that you know what you're about. So a few tips for the Arts Council. I would say that make sure, again, you have some partners. It's really good to partner with some other artists on it. Also some other projects locally that the Arts Council fund. So have a look at the larger arts projects in your community and see if you can team up with them, or maybe rent a room or space from them, or maybe have some mentoring from them, some kind of partnership in there. Also, that it's great if they can promote you. The Arts Council also like it if you have somebody on your partners list that is going to be promoting your project. So again, photograph everything during your project, because at the end of the project, they keep 10% back for the end, and you have to do a final report. And then when you submit that final report, you get your last little payment. Now with the Arts Council, it's great. You can apply year after year. You can apply as an individual, so you don't actually have to have a CIC for the Arts Council. And I will do another video on individual Arts Council applications. But with this, it is great for if you're a CIC, it's a fantastic one to get. I find them fairly easy, and if you do get turned down, about 30% do get turned down, but it's fine because they give you feedback and you can just resubmit. And as long as you've got a good project, there's no reason why after a couple of rounds that you won't get that through. So don't be disheartened if you're rejected. It's part of the game. You just got to play it, and it just makes sure that your application and your project is really good. So aside from those ones, we've also got children in need. So if you're running any kind of youth project with children under 18s, then Children in Need is a great fund to apply for. Again, they've got a small pot of £10,000, but the great thing is you get it for 3 years. So you get £10,000 for 3 years. So that means you've got some stability then in your CIC, that you know that that's coming through, instead of having to apply year after year like you do with the lottery. The other thing with Children in Need is there's no reason why you can't get this after the 3 years. So I had my 3 years, and then I got another 3 years, and that they ran simultaneously, so I had no gaps in between. So again, that's great for stability. They're also a great funder to work with. I find that they always send out the local media to you every year around Children in Need Day, because obviously they want to promote what they're sponsoring and what they're doing in the community. So they send people like the local radio station, for instance, to my project, and that's always been really nice, and I really felt really supported by Children in Need. So aside from those mainstream grants, you can also apply to your local community foundation. This is usually run by your council. Now have a look what's in your area, because every area is different. Some areas don't always fund CICs, they might only fund charities, for example. But lots do. So go and have a look and see what your area does. So that was my tips on various different funding pots. Now there's totally realistic that you can apply for several projects in 1 year. So you could have a few running at the same time. That helps you then earn enough money within your project. Just a little note on payments. I will do a separate video on how to pay yourself. But just to say, you absolutely should, and funders expect you to pay yourself for the work that you are doing. So assumingly you're probably the founder of your CIC and you're going to be the main worker in your CIC. So you're going to be delivering most of the work, you're the project manager. So a project manager should be paying themselves the good wage. So the Arts Council, for example, expect, and they say this on the Artists Union website, so around 350 a day is a standard rate for a project manager. If you are new to this and you don't feel confident paying yourself quite that much, I'd still be paying yourself over 200 a day. So, once you've got that experience and you are a project manager, that is just what the national guidelines are. So don't feel bad about that. That is completely standard, and that is what funders expect you to be doing. Also make sure, of course, you pay your other sessional workers and your staff correctly. So again, funders will expect that, especially the Arts Council, when you're paying other artists, they want you to pay them properly. So make sure when you do your budgets, you factor in and you prioritise all the staff payments. So it's really important to pay people properly. Make sure, of course, with all your budgeting that you keep receipts and you keep everything above board, and you're transparent about what you're doing. So that's it for this video. Again, hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to do my Start a CIC and Get Funding Within 4 Months course, jump over to my website and that's available on there.